Okay, so I haven't done a solo What Happens in Vegas podcast in a while. So I've been kind of MIA for about a month, and I'm going to explain to you all why and the sense I've made out of it. So part of this journey was I share with you what's going on with my health journey. And about a month ago, I would have said, I've overcome it. I did it. I overcame the feelings of Lyme in your body, the feelings of anxiety, the feelings of pain in your organs, the cardiac symptoms, the inability to work out. And I would tell you that I was so grateful. I was sleeping through the night and I was having regular bowel movements and not having to get up to pee. And I was feeling joy again, and I was able to have a glass of wine here and there. Not that that's a goal of mine, but just to show that my body is capable of dealing with some hormetic stress and some toxins. Um, I was very, very happy, very, very grateful. And, we learn all about grateful, and when you're grateful, you good things come and you heal, and it's this gratefulness journal. And I was just like expressing it and I was so excited. And I had one step in my journey that I still wanted to complete, and that's that I haven't had my root canal out. And but then I realized, okay, no, every November I've been suffering and I really want to enjoy this holiday season. So November 2021 is when all of this turned on for me very acutely. All of the cardiac symptoms, all of the, hell that came after with Lyme getting turned back on and attacking all my organs. And, I had severe kidney pain, liver pain. I had severe lymphedema. I had literally pain everywhere. It was pretty traumatizing to think back on. And then in November 22, I was still suffering. But my grandmother passed away just before Christmas. And even her birthday's on Christmas, and then my parents had COVID on Christmas, so we couldn't celebrate with them. So, and then last November, I got my tongue tie released as part of something to help heal and turn on the vagus nerve. And it took me 3 months. Usually it takes people a few days to recover from a tongue tie release, but because they had to release such deep fascia for me, I ended up really suffering with lymphedema in my face and my neck not draining. And I had a whole bunch more symptoms and I really didn't get to enjoy again. So I thought, I'm not going to get my root canal taken out on the 12th because my body does still overreact to an extent. And I ended up, sorry, just a second here. My propel air has needed reset. Sorry, I'm cold with my little sweater. Anyway, so I had some weird stuff come up upper GI, and I ended up starting to take oil of oregano, but I figured I'm going to be taking oil of oregano prophylactically for November 12th, and I started taking it kind of at the end of October. So I continued to take oil of oregano in a little capsule from Designs for Health. And oh my gosh, I felt even better. I thought maybe this is the missing piece. It's cleaning up the last microbes that need to be cleaned up. And until one decided to get stuck in my throat. And for those of you who have had Lyme or know someone that suffers with it, it affects your ability to swallow at times, and it can affect any organ. But I guess at one point when I couldn't swallow, or some point in the last little while, I must have developed something called a hiatal hernia. So a hiatal hernia is when part of your stomach comes above the diaphragm into the esophagus, and it can be You can have them without knowing, which is what I think happened to me, although I suspected it in March 2022 when I had problems swallowing and this lump kind of feeling in my, it's called your epigastric region. It's right under your sternum. It's where you feel pain when you have either even gastritis or if you have GERD, like gastrointestinal reflux, which is something I developed through all this. But this oil of oregano capsule ended up getting lodged probably at the lip of my hiatal hernia. And oil of oregano is what's called a volatile oil. And that's how it kills the bad bugs. It has lots of benefits, but it's very spicy and it can burn. And when left slowly leaching out of a capsule on tissue that's not fit to handle it, like our digestive tract is, our esophagus is just before our stomach, and there's a sphincter there, and the sphincter can herniate a little bit too, so it's not as easy to close. So what I suspect happened is the oil of oregano really irritated that area, and I already had the hernia, which I now know because I had to go for an endoscope, where after the oregano, because food started getting stuck in my throat, I couldn't swallow, I had to go to the emergency room. They unfortunately had me drink Coca-Cola to dissolve the chicken that got stuck in my throat, but without kind of understanding the erosion that the oil of oregano and whatever reflux had happened after that had done to my esophagus. So although it relieved the stuck part higher up in my throat, I believe it really, really, really inflamed my esophagus. So I'm still waiting for results of the biopsy, which is a whole other charade that has sent this healing into an even slower pace because they biopsy into the very irritated tissue, and I don't know where else. But anyways, when you have this hiatal hernia and it becomes symptomatic for whatever reason, they put you on PPIs. The PPI is the exact same size as the oil of oregano capsule that got stuck. It's enteric coated. I was not going to take that. I didn't want to take medication at all, but when you have a burnt esophagus and acids coming up from your stomach, you're pretty much willing to do anything when all the natural stuff wasn't really helping at that point. And so things that started to help before my endoscope was methylene blue. So methylene blue is something I used before. It does help for Lyme. It's a dye that they found out when they were using it in the lab that it actually entered the mitochondria and had some effect there, but it also they realized was killing some microbes. So I did use it for earlier on for when I had a COVID infection, as well as when my Lyme was turned on and I had some relief. So I did some research and found out that for esophageal burns, they found that it healed these corroded esophagus in a study on rats. And since I felt comfortable taking it, I started to slow. Each drop is 400 micrograms, and I worked up to 10 drops. 15 is my goal, but I do everything slow because of the way my body has historically reacted. And it has been shown to heal multiple tissues, but that, and then I used red light over top of the area because it supercharges the methylene blue to work even better. I tried not to do too much red light. I don't want it to go to the other side where there's any damage to DNA or anything like that. So I was doing that before the biopsy, but I thought, you know, if I go in there with a blue throat because it dyes everything for a little while, even like you pee and it's kind of green or blue depending on the dose that you're taking. And I I found that was helping slowly. Also, manual therapy and everything we're going to be showing you from our lymph course helped, working on all the lymph in my lower stomach and even under the cisterna chyli. So historically through all of this, I had severe lymphedema in my belly. My belly was extended, and I think other sphincters were affected at different times, like my ileocecal valve, which is the valve between your ileum and your cecum in your small intestine to your large intestine, and it was just bulged out and swollen there for the longest time. Then recently that had cleared. So cisterna chyli is really deep under your stomach. It's where your deep lymph clears up. So I suspect that there was some blockage there that created some of that pressure that maybe even formed the hiatal hernia. And also being a manual therapist and working on athletes manually still at times, I feel that that one specific time when I worked on a lot of guys, it could have pushed up the hernia. So working on knowing that I need to bring that down. And then also what I noticed through all of this is that my tongue no longer sat at the roof of my mouth. So I did a lot of something called myofunctional therapy when I was doing pre-tongue tie release and post-tongue tie release in order to strengthen my tongue. And my tongue had been sitting comfortably at the top of my mouth. So some people don't notice, but if your mouth is closed, your tongue should just be sitting right up there in the roof of your mouth, comfortably suctioned without even you trying. People who snore open mouths have like not a very defined jawline and chin. They often don't have that resting tongue posture. They have what's called a low tongue posture. So with all of the swelling that happened in my lower esophagus, it was pulling my tongue downwards. And if I tried to suction my tongue to the roof of my mouth like that, I would get cardiac symptoms. So that's something else I noticed, like fast racing heart again, pain radiating into my chest, that thumping heart at night, which had gone away, which all of that acid coming up to the esophagus, irritating all the nerves around it, they all go through the same cardiac sphincter in your diaphragm. So you're getting irritation to your vena cava, your aorta, your lungs can get irritated. So, it can be a very big deal and dangerous to have this sort of reflux. And anyone that's dealt with any upper GI stuff, which I never have for an extended period of time like this, but literally for the last month, I've been unable to eat solid foods. I've been unable to sleep laying flat. Even when I'm propped up, acid's coming up because the damage to that lower esophageal sphincter, which holds those really acidic contents of the stomach down. And the stomach's supposed to have a fire. It's supposed to be very acidic, and it's meant to handle that. It's protected from that, but the other mucosal linings are not. So there's been a downward sequelae of damage that has happened. And other things that I started thinking about was, okay, well, is this partially Lyme? I don't know yet. I haven't got my biopsy results back. So what does the biopsy of your esophagus show you? It can show you things like eosinophilic esophagitis, which is when eosinophils have infiltrated the tissue down close to the sphincter. And that's usually driven by parasites, and Lyme can cause eosinophilic esophagitis. And that should be treated accordingly by, either figuring out the parasites or doing some safe parasite cleanse. But since I could only drink stuff, I did Para-4, and it was very soothing. And I think it has helped me a lot. Other things I was drinking, slippery elm. I was opening 2 slippery elm capsules every day, dissolving them in hot water and then letting it cool down so I didn't irritate the esophagus further. Things like GI Revive that has things like zinc carnosine in it, and DGL. I tried to do DGL chews, but I really found it hard to choke them down. I was using a binder called Toxiprevent for the upper GI that has magnesium carbonate and calcium carbonate in it. They're not things that I generally would like people to take to lower your stomach acid, but when you are having these issues, I fully understand that you need relief, and it's more important in these times than having stomach acid. It's more important for your esophagus to be able to heal. So I did those things consistently, and it was helpful. I also did something called MSM and chondroitin sulfate and NAG and acetylglucosamine. And there was glutamine in some of the products, but these things all help healing. Another thing I did was drinking a couple ounces of ASEA, like an electrolyzed, almost like alkaline water that I'm learning more about to see if it's something that I want to offer. And manual therapy was huge. I did a lot of self-manual therapy. I saw an osteopath, but through all of this Lyme stuff, Dr. Leah Barbero and I have figured out ways of treating lymphatics and the belly in order to get relief from symptoms of Lyme and other organ symptoms. So using a lot of that with her and on myself, it's much better when someone else can do it for you that's talented, because again, it's going to be much more soothing, or you can't go as deep and you can't get in there as much as they do. So that was huge. I had some treatments done from Dr. Nick Babulis, who also helped me through Lyme. Some machines that help move lymph. So we used the amp coil, which is a frequency machine. We also used something called the LBG, which is your lymph moves electrostatically, and that was placed at my collarbones and on my cisterna chyli, and it did help to clear things. The unfortunate thing was, just as I started feeling a little bit of relief from healing, I ended up finally getting my endoscope because I really wanted to see what was going on there from that lump feeling and that stuck feeling in my throat and in my chest. And that's when they found the hiatal hernia, but the biopsies really set me back. And, I've been healing from that now almost 2 weeks. So it's not been fun. I'm really hoping I'm on the healing side of things. I still can't eat solids really. I'm nervous to swallow anything because anytime I try to swallow things that are bigger, I do get symptoms. So we'll see. So I guess we'll see as I'm healing, and I'll keep updating all of you. But again, my flex beam has been a savior. My laser, my level 3 laser has been a savior. My husband has been a savior. Nathan working on me. How could I forget that? Even my brother-in-law working on me. My sister, Alyssa Canestraro. She's another manual therapist. I'm lucky to be surrounded by these people. My parents cooking all the soup for me that I need. Everyone checking in on me has been amazing. So I just want to heal and be able to tell you guys how good I'm doing. And I know it's close. And I had some really low moments. And I've had to search deep again. And through all of this, I thought I found a lot of answers, and I just wonder why I keep getting these challenges. But I'm sure I'll figure it out more as things come forward. But I'm learning and learning, and there's more. Our course was almost done, but it had to get put on hold. So we'll start again as I heal, and I'll give you more insights that I have. But yeah, it's hard. So I feel you if you're in a chronic situation or if something acute has come up. It's hard to not feel well. It's hard to want to accomplish so much and not be able to. So there's always something to try. That's what I always see. I go after things until I can get them to resolve, and it's not always as fast as I want it to, but just banking all this information, hoping I can help you all more. So I hope you enjoyed this. If people have questions or comments, they can always reach out. Thank you.